In today's video I want to talk about composition, as it's very important for your look and the storytelling of your videos and photos. So roll the intro and let's jump right into it. So just before you start, I've been working really hard for something that I wanted to release, and it will come next week, so stay tuned and have a look at my Instagram account where I'll post the newest infos. So let's jump right into the video. So composition, why is it so important? Not just can it completely change the look of your image, but also the storytelling. For example, if you put someone in one corner of a frame, it is a completely different look than if you put him right in the center. And that's not just due to how the image is filled with people or objects, but also how the light flows onto the object. So maybe you've heard about rule of thirds or something like leading lines, and this might be the case because a lot of people learn it in school, just as I do. And that's the things I want to talk about first, and then we'll talk about more advanced techniques. So the rule of thirds is kind of the most simple one, because you just slice your image into 9 segments, which are all a third of the length of the side. So you have just these 9 sections where you can place your subject, and most cameras just have it as a line configuration, so you can just turn them on, and it's way easier to composition your image. And what you learn in school is that you should position your object in your photo dead center or on one of these lines. So for example, if he looks to the left, you want him to sit on the right side of the frame, kind of at this 2/3 marker, and the other way around is the same. So yeah, that's what you kind of learn in school about the rule of thirds, and it's true and it works. So if you're not sure which composition to choose, just go with the simple dead center or rule of thirds, and your image will look pleasing. And maybe you even learned about leading lines, which are lines in the image that draw the viewer's attention to the subject. Meaning, if there's a fence in the right side of the image, and all the lines the fence produces go to the left, then you should maybe position your subject on the left. For all the German people out there, I made a video on it up here. You can check it out. There I'll go into more detail, but overall it's not that complicated, but the look is really nice. Just choose lines in the environment, can be fences or streets or trees, and try to position your subject in these lines, or try to use these lines to draw the viewer's eye to the subject. For example, this fake plant here, by the way, it's not plastic, it's paper, is kind of around the lamp back there. So that's just a beautiful frame for my image, so that the viewer's attention, so your attention, is more drawn on me. And the next thing you can see in my studio here, in my home studio, is something you might not learn in school, but it's lighting. And lighting is very important for composition as well, even though you might not think about that, but it's crucial. And most people do it right just without knowing what they're doing, but it's just you will look at the part of the image which is the brightest. So for example, if this light would be turned off, you would rather look at one of the lights in the background than on me. So I'll just turn it off quickly, like that. That's very dark and not very pleasing to watch, isn't it? Is it? That's way better. The next thing is symmetry. Symmetry is kind of more tool than a rule, but it's important as well. Because with symmetry you can kind of break or make the viewer's feeling on the image. Because if something is very symmetrical, it feels kind of clean and very ordered. But if you have a subject that is kind of in the left part of the image, but everything around it isn't on the right side to compensate for that, but also on the left hand, then your image kind of feels way too heavy on this side, and it isn't really a consistent, stable look. But if you want to go for that and kind of want to try to grab the viewer's attention on exactly this part of the side of the image, then definitely do it, and it will help tell a story. And making or breaking the symmetry of a shot can really help for a different kind of look. Because think about it, a lot of photos you see on Instagram, for example, use windows as a part of the frame. Why? Just because they mirror the light and it kind of feels way more symmetrical. But then if you have a shot of the camera moving around a window, the perspective is always changing and it gives a very interesting look. The same thing you can achieve using your phone, for example. So you just put your phone's display, or you turn it off now, and then you put it below your lens so that you get kind of this flare. So now we'll talk about when to use which side of the image. So for example, if a person in the image looks to the right, you'll rather position it on the left to more balance out the picture, so it doesn't seem like the person is cranked up to a wall and just looks directly onto the wall, because that looks kind of weird, especially if there's a lot of space behind that person. So if you now take that person and put it on the other side, and it has the whole frame to look into, it's just way more pleasing to the eye, and your viewer will be more interested in the shot. So if you know this rule, you can break it, and it's very important to break it sometimes. For example, if you're making a movie about someone being in prison and you want to show that he is in a very small room with not enough space, then just have him look to the right and put him on the right side of the frame. So there's a bit of space behind his back, but he looks directly onto the side of the image, which kind of gives the viewer the feeling of being in a very small room, which is not very pleasing, but I mean, that's a prison. And it works the other way around too. So, for example, if you have a shot of some dunes in the desert and you want to show the scale of these dunes or some mountains or something, then just place the person maybe on the right side of the image, have it look to the left, and make it very small, so it has a lot of headspace and it seems like the person isn't that important in the frame, and the most important thing is the landscape. That's one of my favorite techniques. I love shots with a lot of headspace because it just feels more free, and that's the look I really like. So overall, these are just tips and rules for the beginning, and since you know all the rules, you can break them, and you should know how to break them. And with that, achieve a way more cinematic and more storytelling look. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I see you next time. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram to get the newest update on next week's surprise. So, stay tuned and bye.